welcome to Crafty Little Things. I'm Andrea and Andrea, and today I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous gift box, which is modelled obviously on a child's kind of building block, the alphabet building blocks. Now this box is a lovely almost 3 by 3 by 3 box. I made it so that I could package little baby booties that I make, so I could wrap them in tissue and package them in these because it's just so cute, and I thought I'd share them with you, but they could be used just as nursery decor items that are really cute. They're not going to hurt anyone if they fall on anyone. They're really lightweight and easy to sort of manoeuvre about. They can be stuck down onto a shelf even. They can even be stuck onto a wall as part of decor. They obviously open and they can be used to gift things in, or I mean they could be used for baby showers. You could pop a cake or whatever, or favours from a baby shower. They could be used as a keepsake box, so you could put some tissue in there, you could put dividers in there, whatever. You can write a little something on the lid to say what the memento is. It could have baby's first tooth or hair or anything like that. The lettering could be reflective of the child's name. Obviously you've only got 6 letters to play with, and you could use numbers, so you could you know, make a number block with their date of birth. If you've got 6 letters, 6 spaces, you could probably do that. You could definitely do that. So there's lots and lots of different options. Now what these are made using is the large letters, framelits, but you could use any letters, and then they're used with just layers of whisper white, which is, I've used the stitch square framelit for the top layer, and then for the layer underneath I've used the scallop square from the nesting square dies. But like I said, if you haven't, and then just I've used whisper white for the base. This is used sweet sugar plum, and I've used sweet sugar plum ink. These letters were printed out on were cut out of very vanilla, and then I've just stamped around using one of the stamps from the wood word set, the heart stamp, just to get that kind of mottled effect that I was going for, using sweet sugar plum ink. But they can be cut out of DSP, they can be cut out of cardstock, or you know, whatever you want to do with them. I mean, you could add more embellishments. I was going to put on a gift tag, but I thought, do you know what, it just ruins the simplicity of it. Sometimes less really is more, and you could always put a little stamp in the top, a little sentiment inside there, or a to or a from or something, or a little, you know, one of the cute little baby stamp, you know, like the twinkle twinkle little star, do you know how loved you are, that kind of thing. So anyway, let's get on with this. I'll show you how to make it. It does open, so your front of your box essentially is the back of your box, so that if you were displaying that on a shelf, you know, you'd want that nice clean line of the back. But to be honest with you, you get quite a nice clean line at the front as well. And if you do want that piece to not lose itself and get buried inside, then there is a way you can do that, and I'll explain what that is. I'm not going to show you because I don't personally do it, because the boxes are full when I pack them, but I will show you how to do that. And also these could be flat packed. If you sell things online, they could easily be flat packed and sent to somebody with some double-sided tape, and a little instruction leaflet just to say how to put them together. And so obviously this is part of my business, so if anybody did want me to make some of those, just let me know and I'll be at your service. Right, so what we need for this is very simple. We just need a piece of 12 by 8 cardstock, and I'm just using the normal whisper white, and you can see how sturdy that is because of these layers that you're building up. But if you wanted to, you could use the extra thick. you'd have trouble with dimensions because you do need more than an A4 unless you're going to just size down. But for me, to find the right size square to fit the letter on, and then the right size square to add a little bit of scallop in, I needed to make it this size. This was the very smallest I could make it. If you're doing it by just cutting out your shapes, then cutting out your letters, whatever, stamping your letters, maybe you could make it a bit smaller. But for me, this size is perfect. So all you need then is a piece of 8 by 12. You need some glue. I'm going to use Tombow. You need a bone folder, and you need some scissors. Okay, and the other thing you need is the panels. So I've got this one's a blue one, so I'm using Soft Sky for this one. So again, what I've done is, these are very vanilla. Actually, I don't have the large letters dies myself, but one of the ladies in my team, she cuts them out and send me some to play with, and so now I do need them, and I will buy them now. So what I've got is, I've just got them all in very vanilla. So I've stamped this using Soft Sky. All I did was I didn't stamp it, I just pushed it into the pad and just dyed the paper basically, and that gave me a nice effect. Again, it's not an absolute block of colour, it's like a wash of colour. It's quite nice. And then what I did was, I took Whisper White and I used the stitch shape framelit, which gave me a 2 5/8 square. So that's a 2 5/8 square, so that's a 6.7. Yeah, a 6.7 centimetre square. And I cut 6 of those. Now it's up to you. You don't have to put one on the bottom if you only want to do 5. And then I cut 6 Soft Sky panels using the layer and square framelits, and these are the ones that came out at 2 3/4. So that's 7 centimetres square. Okay, and they're the sort of scalloped ones. You could use straight edges if you want. You don't have to have this stitching. There's other ways to achieve that. Like I said, you could achieve a scalloped edge using craft scissors or other things. You don't need to necessarily have everything that I've got to do this. So we'll put those to one side, or actually what we can do is we can assemble these. So I'll do one of my little speed jobs. I'll do the first one and then I'll do a speed job and speed you up. So just take a base, take a letter, just going to take any letter, and I'm going to tell you another technique as well that you can use. Just put some glue on, don't overdo it with the glue. I think I have overdone it with the glue there, so I'm just going to wipe some of that off. Position your letter sort of as centrally as possible. And this is why using Tombow is good, because you've got that little bit of wiggle room. And then pop your Tombow on the back and position it just so you can see all 4 sides of that scalloping. And that should, if you use the sizes I use, that should work out perfectly. And then turn it on its back to give it a good press down. Now something you can do, and I'll probably show you this at some point, is you could run that, put it in a little wrap of scrap paper and run it through your big shot as if you were running through a thinlet. So you put it in the sandwich, the 2 plates, and run it through, and that'll really press that letter down into the cardstock. The other thing you can do is, if you want a really minimalist look, is you can use the tone on tone. So you could use a white one on a white background and maybe just have a coloured scalloping, and you could run that through the big shot and it would look like it had been embossed. So I might do that just to show you how that works. So next one then, make sure, because this is white and it's quite pristine, make sure that you're keeping your hands nice and clean and your work surface nice and clean, because it is easy to get glue all over your hands, and then next thing you know you've got it all over your block, and then the next thing you know you're transferring your ink. So do be careful. I mean, I do have a piece of scrap that I tend to put down to press onto, or to press onto the back rather than the front. Okay, so they're all done, so I'm going to leave those to one side to dry. If you do get a little bit of glue that comes over the edge or something, just use a rubber when it's really dry to just tidy that up. Okay, so now I'm going to make the box. So I'm not going to put the tombow too far away. Oh, I've got a little bit of stray paper stuck on there and on there. Right, now you're going to need your scoreboard. If you haven't got a scoreboard, use a ruler and a scoring tool. Just going to zoom you back out a bit. Right, so for our scoring then, just keep these safe. We need, like I said, we need a 12 by 8 piece, which is 30.4 centimetres by 20.3 centimetres, this way. And where we're going to score on the long side, we're going to score at 2 7/8. So that's 7.3 centimetres. We're going to score at 5 3/4, which is 14.6 centimetres. And we're going to score at 8 5/8, which is, 8 5/8, which is 21.9 centimetres. And we're going to score at 11.5, which is 29.2 centimetres. And then we're going to turn it around and we're going to score on the short side at 1/2 inch. So that's 1.3 centimetres. And we're going to score at 3 3/8. That's 8.6 centimetres. And we're going to score at 6 1/4, which is 15.9 centimetres. And then we're just going to turn it back around, and at the end where we've got the 1/2 inch scored, we're going to score at 2 3/8, just down to this second line, okay, just down to the second score line. So 2 3/8, which is 6 centimetres, and we're going to score at 6 1/4, which is 15.9 centimetres. And those two little score lines, we're just going to score up to this main score line here, if you like, the first of our big score lines. Can you see that? And that's just going to form our lid. Right, that's all the scoring there is to do. So it's really simple project, this. It just looks so effective. So now for cutting then, I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to start off by cutting out this, can you see that skinny triangle, the skinny rectangle here? I'm going to cut that out, and I'm just going to notch in a little bit there. So I'm just going to cut and I'm just going to notch in a little bit there. Then I'm going to notch in just before I get to the next score line, and then I'm going to cut all that piece out to the end. Okay, so we don't need any of that. And that's just made the little flap that will fasten our box together. Now, I'm trying to make it so you can see. Along the top, we need to cut out these two sections here, all of this, but just leave where we scored part way down, because that's going to be our lid. So we need to cut down this section here, this score line, and then remove all of this. Now don't throw it away, because that can be used for other things, for sentiments. And if you do decide to run your letters through the Big Shot, you could use this to do that with, if you do that after you've made your box. So because I was cutting on those funny angles, I'm not doing anything, I'm just trimming off a little bit that I missed. And then we're going to cut out this last section here. So we're going to cut from the lid flap, and we're just going to cut this out. Okay, so we're left with the lid, our sides, the flap to fasten it together, and our bottom. So now what you want to do is you want to just remove the two little squares at the end, at each end of your lid. So remove those. And then what you want to do is free up these sides by just snipping up to the score line. You're just relaxing this piece, yeah, just releasing this piece. So just cut that up to there. And now what I want to do is just notch in a little bit on all of these flaps. It'll just help the flaps to go into the box lid better. Okay. Just a little bit, don't notch in massive amounts. If you do find that your lid's sticking later, you can always cut a little bit more off. I just need to just trim a little bit more off there. I mean, if you wanted to, you could make it bigger. You can make it 8.5 inches, and you could make these flaps 1 inch, so you get a deeper sort of hold. But they're fine for what I use it for. Right, so now you're left with this shape. And now we're just going to free up these bottom panels. Remember, this is your front, and your lid folds backwards. Okay. So just cut up these score lines. And then you don't want to notch in your front, because that wants to be nice and square. And this one is your back one. You don't want to notch in that either. But it might help just to notch in the two side panels just slightly. You might not want to, you might choose not to notch in and just keep it all really square like that, but I am not that precise with my cutting, so I do tend to have a little bit of an overhang, and this just stops that, and it stops it getting too bulky at the ends as well. So that's that. Now this is now going to be your back. Okay, now if you, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I will do it. Now if you want your box to not, sort of the lid not to collapse in on itself, then you can put a little ridge of cardstock into here at precisely 1/2 inch, because that's how long that is. Now we know that's 1/2 inch because I've cut it off, so I'm just going to fold that in half, and I'm going to trim it off again. I mean, you can do it all the way around, but it tends to be the front one that collapses in. And then what you can do is you can just stick that in there at 1/2 inch, and then that'll just stop your box from falling in on itself. So pop some glue on. I will do it. I made it a double thickness just to give it, I mean usually just one thickness will do the trick, but and you can do that all the way around if you want. You could actually pop your Stampin' Up! Copyright on there. There's not many places to do it with this one. I'm just going to take my Soft Sky, and at least it's on there. I think this Soft Sky is in need of some replenishing. Yeah, so I just put my Stampin' Up! Copyright there. And then it's on the product, isn't it? And I'm just going to, at 1/2 inch, I'm just going to pop that on in there. And that'll just stop that from falling, and you're not going to see that at all. Okay, right, so now I'm just going to burnish those score lines, all of them, and they all get burnished kind of upwards. There's no secrets or tricks in the burnishing. Bring your lid down and the flaps in, so everything's been, like I said, everything's been burnished in. Get nice sharp scoring going on, because you want really nice sharp square edges. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop all my panels on before I do anything else. So decide what letter you want on the front. I'm going to have my A on the front this time, and away you go. Like I said, there's a lot of gluing goes on with this one and a lot of cutting, but it's really worth it. And then just position that, should fit really nicely, just leaving you a tiny little edge. Yep, sorry about that. It's my son calling. So that'll all fasten down. So again, remember this is your front, so this is the last piece you want to fold down, because you want that nice line. But you're getting nice lines with this anyway. So I'm just going to pop, sorry, I'm just going to pop these two side panels in, and they just overlap by a tiny sort of 1/2 inch. So pop those down. And then I'm going to pop some glue onto this flap all over it, and make sure you get it to the edge. Push that down, and this is why I don't notch in my ends, because I know it's square if they're lined up nicely. If I'd notched in, they could be all over the place. And then fold your last flap up nice and square again, and then just take your bone folder or your tombow or whatever and just press everything down. You see there, you've got your little Stampin' Up! Thing on the inside, and then just close your flaps in. Just be careful, because you've got a few layers going on, so just be careful that you do get them inside your box. And you see that's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to push through at all because it's supported on that little lip inside, and it doesn't detract from the aesthetic at all. Then just going to get your bottom panel and just decide which way you want it to go. Put mine like that and just stick that on, and that more or less covers up every single join. So there we go. Now these are not only, like I say, useful as boxes for, just get that out of the way. They're not only useful as boxes to gift things in or to store things in. I can't even, this is a really good one. I can't even remember, was it the A? Was it the B that was on top? I can't remember. I think it was the B, wasn't it? Was it? Yeah, the B. That's really well made, that. But you can use them for little photo props and things like that as well when you're doing baby little shoots with your babies and whatever. So, I mean, they're just fun, and they're just so cute, and they're so useful and so versatile. You see that box there? Can you see what's happening? Like I say, it doesn't matter for me because I use it for packaging, and it would be full, so it would be full with tissue, so it wouldn't do that. But if you are going to use them just as decor or whatever, then maybe just think about putting that little piece in. And you can always, I just pushed it in myself, you can always pop it right around the edge so that all your edges are sitting on a little rest there. Okay, so that's it. That's my little cute box. They look so pretty, like stacked up in a nursery or whatever. So, well, on that note, ta-ta, I guess. See you soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.